All right, so today we are going to go through an equation relating the two variables involving two or more operations, and then how we use that equation to find the value of the dependent variable from given values of the independent variable. Essentially, we will use the mathematical practice of substitution, substituting a value for the independent variable and finding the value of the dependent variable. So let's take a look at an example. In the equation, P equals 50 plus 10N. This represents the relationship between the admission price in P dollars and the number of people N. The right side of the equation, 50 plus 10N, is the algebraic expression. It represents the value of the dependent variable P. It involves two operations, addition and multiplication. Which operation comes first? Now, this can be answered simply by a mathematical concept called the order of operations. Now, this is something that we've gone over in class before. Sometimes order will not change the answer, but more often than not, if we do an operation out of order, it has a very large impact on our answer. So it's very, very good practice to get these memorized and follow the order of operations when solving a problem. So we are going to take a look at how Theo solves the problem. He solves it from left to right, 50 plus 10 times 17 for 17 members. He adds first, gets 60 times 17, and he says that for 17 people, it's going to be 1,020. He gets a number that seems too large. So then he uses the calculator, 50 plus 10 times 17, and it equals 220. He's puzzled by the difference in the results. And then he remembers that there are rules, and those rules are called the order of operations. So here are the rules for our order of operations. Now, these are conventions in mathematics that we use to determine how we should solve a problem. And there are four main conventions, and within these conventions or rules, each rule is also observed in there. So if we're working within the grouping symbols or in parentheses and we see another set of parentheses, the rules also apply. So we have to be very slow and methodical and solve each equation very one step at a time. We work very, very methodically. We show each step because the harder the equation, the more easy it is to make a mistake. So take a moment right now and pause and write these down. Basically what you want to get down is that we have parentheses, which really that's not a good term. We want to refer to these as grouping symbols, okay? Because we will also come in contact with brackets. We can have lots of different ways of grouping. We can have grouping symbols within grouping symbols in inner and outer parentheses. We have exponents. Those come next. We do all multiplication and division in order. Okay, that's important. We do it in order. So if the division comes first, we do that. And we do it in order from left to right. And then we do addition and subtraction in order from left to right. So essentially what we need to remember is that we do grouping, then our exponents, then our multiplication, division, and then addition, subtraction. Make that look more like an S. All right, so go ahead and pause, get those down, and then we will continue. All right, so to recall or remember, we are going to practice a few of these with problem A from the book. The equation is P equals 50 plus 10N, and we are going to find prices for groups with 5, 11, and 23 members. So to remind you, the order of operations is that we first do anything with grouping symbols, then exponents, then we do multiplication, division in order, left to right, and then addition and subtraction left to right. Now, we are going to start pretty simple. This is a very simple, easy equation to do this with, but we, both Mrs. Cerna and I, do the same process and expect to see the work done the same way. So I'm going to do this for 5, and you guys should come back to school tomorrow with 11 and 23 done. So first thing we need to do is rewrite the entire equation, and no matter how simple it seems, we need to get into the habit of showing each step of the process. So P equals 50 plus 10 times n. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to substitute n equals 5. So we are going to substitute 5 for n. So we're going to rewrite the entire equation, 5, 0 plus 10 times 5. Okay, now we don't have any grouping symbols, we don't have any exponents, but we do have multiplication and division. Okay, and that is multiplication, and we have it here. So we're going to underline that part, and that is the only part of the equation we are going to solve. Okay, so P equals 50 plus 10 times 5 is 50. All right, the next part of the order of operations, we go through this again. We don't have any more multiplication or division, no grouping, no exponents. We have addition and subtraction. It's right here. And the price will equal 100. And since we're talking price, we put a dollar sign on there. The cost of 5 people is $100. Okay, now that was a very easy example. All right, so here is another example. P equals 350n minus the quantity of 150n plus 1,000. All right, so we are going to do another real quick example. I'm going to write our order of ops over here to the side: grouping, exponents, multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. Just to remind myself, and again, I'm going to show you how we need to do this. So we're going to go through it and rewrite it, and we are going to do this when n equals, let's do 12. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we are going to rewrite the expression substituting 12 for n. So 350 times 12 minus, in parentheses, 150 times 12 plus 1,000, close parentheses. Now, a lot of times you will see, or most times, most often, you will see when we use substitution, when we replace the variable with its value, you'll see people or books or texts go ahead and use parentheses to represent that that is the value and that's where the variable was. So go ahead and get that into your common practices. All right, so first thing we're going to do is grouping symbols. So we go over here, we have group. This is our grouping symbol right here. Now, since these parentheses right here around the 12 are only around the 12, there is nothing inside to complete. This simply represents a multiplication problem. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. Inside of the grouping symbols, we have two different operations. We have a multiplication and an addition problem. So the first step in these grouping is this multiplication problem, because multiplication and division come before addition and subtraction. So P equals 350 times 12 minus, now 150 times 12 is going to be 1,800 plus 1,000. Okay, now we're still inside the grouping symbols, so the next operation we do is this right here. All right, and so we rewrite that as P equals 350 times 12 minus, inside of the parentheses we have 1,800 plus 1,000. That would be $2,800 inside parentheses. Now at this time we could probably drop the parentheses. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and underline the next step in blue. which would be this multiplication problem. We're still working. We don't really need these parentheses anymore. So P equals 350 times 12 is going to be 4,200 minus 2,800. Okay, and when I solve this, as addition and subtraction is my last step, I get that P equals 1,400. Now, if P represented price, I'd want to label it. If P equaled something else, I would want to label my answer appropriately. Now, just to remind you, I know way back here we could have actually multiplied 350 times 12. However, it is very, very important that we do not skip steps. I know it's early and some of us will want to do this, but as we progress through mathematics, it's very important to make sure that we solve problems in the order that our steps come in. That way we get into good habits and become great mathematicians. See you tomorrow.